Okay. So I think we stopped here. Last class we saw how to accept user input, that is how to make user enter values. Okay, and we discussed a few programs. Okay, and we have also seen. Acha, before I proceed, just both of you let me know if you are able to see my screen and hear my voice.
Yes, sir. But
Okay.
we are not able to see the whiteboard, sir.
Okay, I have not shared the screen. Okay, just a minute.
So I can hear you, but I can't see the whiteboard.
1 minute, 1 minute. I think it's visible now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So last class we stopped at the discussion. We have seen how to take user inputs and how values are taken inside computers in memories, that is RAMs. Variables are the named memory locations, and we stopped at last two questions there. Okay, for accepting principal rate and time, and okay, for accepting principal rate and time and printing the simple interest. Okay, this was one question. Another question was accept from user the cost price of one shirt and number of similar shirts purchased. Then display the total amount to be paid. Example, cost price of one shirt, let's say, is rupees 1000. Enter the number of shirts purchased is 50. Then the net amount to be paid will be 50,000. Okay. So we stopped here. I hope all of you have tried. Okay, so we'll start with the discussion of these two questions. Right. Okay. So I'll just write in rough first, and then we'll try to run and write the actual code and execute the program. Okay. So let's say first we'll try the simple interest one. So finding simple interest. How do you find simple interest? So what are the inputs required in this? Yes, anyone?
Principal time rate.
Principal time and rate.
Principal, time and rate. That you need to ask from the user. Okay.
Yeah.
So user input from outside, or rather we can write user input required from outside are principal, rate and time. And what you have to find? To find is simple interest. What is the formula?
PTR by.
Okay. Principal into time into rate, or principal into rate into time, whatever you write. Rate by, shall we write like this?
No, sir. That's that.
Correct. Because computer doesn't understand that. So we'll group it first, because first you have to find this, and then for grouping we use round brackets in computers. We don't have separate brackets like in BODMAS, and I must have discussed earlier. In mathematics you have separate brackets for grouping: box bracket, round bracket, curly brackets, Okay, bar, bracket, etc.
Parenthesis.
Here we have only one simple bracket. Okay, and then that should be divided by 100. Fine. So how many variables we require, or how many memory blocks we need to reserve in the computer? First is for 3 user inputs, right? One each for
Yes, sir.
user inputs, and one is for storing the output, that is the result, simple interest.
Yes.
So 4 variables we need to create. Okay, so the actual program will go like let's say 3 integer values I am taking. Why take integer values? Let's say double, because all these values can be in decimal points also, right? And we are assuming that the time being provided is in years. Okay, that is the assumption. Assuming that time is in years. Okay, so that will be, now we will create 3 variables. We'll write in, I'm writing in rough, then I'm of course going to write the main program. So not int, I'll take double this time, because this can also be in decimal, this can also be in decimal, this can also be in decimal. So let's create a decimal variable which can store decimal type values also, that can either be float or double. Let's go with double for now. Double, principal, rate and time, and of course simple interest we are creating. So what will this step do? This will step will result in reserving of 4 memory blocks. Okay, having the labels P, R, T and SI, and also informing that each of the block will store what type of value? Double. So this much has been conveyed to computer using this line, and computer will accordingly create 4 variables or 4 memory locations labeled as P, R, T and marking them for storage of double values. Okay. Now let's say you have to ask values from the user. So you will write principal equals to SC. Supposing that we have written those lines, scanner SC is equals to new scanner, and on the top import java.util.scanner. I'll just, if you have forgotten, I'll just say, because this template so we are always going to write. Okay, and whatever we are I'm writing now, I'm writing in this place, we'll be filling in here. And like we said, like we had seen, this line, when you want value from the user from outside, then this line number 1 and line number 8 becomes must. Okay, and when you want to input value from user from outside, what you will do is you will write sc.next int, next float or next double, according to whether you have taken double, int and float. Also you should keep in mind whatever you have written here will also come before dot. If you write ABC here you will write ABC. So considering you have written this line and this line on the top, I am just filling in rest of the lines in my rough area. Okay. Okay, I'll write sc dot next double. Okay. So this statement will ask user to provide one number with floating point value, that means with decimal points. Will allow user to enter numbers with decimal points, and that number once provided will be put in the variable labeled as P. Similarly, next, yes.
When the previous step, double PR, T and SI.
Yeah.
Said
Sorry, I didn't get you. In previous step, P, R, T and
SI, so it shouldn't be like double P, double R, double P.
Okay, what you are saying is, just a minute. I got your point. You are correct. That way is also possible. So what she is saying is, instead of writing here double P R T S I, is it incorrect, and whether this is correct? Double P, double R. This is what you are telling, right?
So,
Double SI. See, you can do this also, you can do this also. Both are correct. So in this case, what you will have to write? You will have to write this 4 times. But here, if one type of variable only you have to create with different labels, you can achieve the same thing by separating by comma. Okay. So both are correct.
yes, sir.
The only thing is, here you will have to write separate lines. Here, in one line, you will accomplish the same thing. So both ways you can do, no problem with that. But because this is going to increase the number of lines, so I generally prefer this way. If only one type of variable is there, all single type of variables I will group together by separating commas for creation. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now you will accept one value here. Next value you will accept as, first value you have asked, you have put in P. Second value, again you will write the same thing. That value will be there, that will be put in R. Third value you will again ask from the user for time. That value you will ask by writing the same thing, and that will be put inside T. Now, once you have got all the values, how will you calculate simple interest? You have got P, R, T. Okay, so you will write the expression by 100. So what will this line do? This will, in the background, what it
It
will
will show the result of the expression.
this will store the result of the expression in SI, but first the expression will be solved to obtain the single value, right? So first value of P will be replaced from the memory location or the variable P. Value of variable R will be fetched and replaced here. Value of variable T will be fetched and replaced here. Once the values have been fetched and replaced, the value of this bracket will be calculated. Whatever is the result of this grouped in bracket, that single result will be divided by 100. Then one single result will be found, and that one single result will go inside SI. Is
Sir,
this
I do not understand.
okay? This part. Okay.
The
Let's.
values R and T.
Okay. I'll explain. When you write this line, this thing that I have given will make user enter one value, and that value, once you enter, when the screen is blinking, that will immediately go in P. Second line, when you again write the same thing, that will wait on the computer screen for the user to enter. Once the user enters, that will go into R. Let's say in P, user writes principal, user gives 1000. 1000 will go inside P. In rate, let's say user writes 5. 5 will go inside R. And in T, let's say user writes 7 years, so 7. 7 will go inside T. So now P, R and T are having 1000, 5 and 7. Now coming to this line, right side expression will be solved first, because expressions are not saved in variable. The results of the expression are saved. So first, the result of this will be found out. How it will be found out? In the expression, in the background, value of P will be looked in the variable labeled as P, and it will be fetched, and in the background one computer will form in its memory one expression which will be, you won't come to see, but inside internally it will do that. This will be replaced by 1000, this will be replaced by 5, this will be replaced by 7. Okay, and once they have been replaced, their product will be found out. So computer will calculate 1000 into multiplied by
350, sir.
sorry
350 is the answer.
350 is the answer, correct. But how computer is solving, that I am showing. 7, then it internally this expression will be reduced to this after substitution of values from the memory locations. Then this will be 35,000 divided by 100. Okay, and then single value will be obtained, that will be 350. Once the single value 350 is provided here, this single value 350 will go inside the memory location labeled by SI, and then here you will have 350. So what I said is, one by one, when you provide value, it will go one by one in different memory locations, okay, with which it is equal to sign is associated. It will go inside memory locations, those will be filled. Then this expression will be evaluated by substituting or fetching values from the respective memory locations. An intermediate expression will be formed in the background. That intermediate expression will be solved. One single value will be obtained, and then that single value will be put inside the memory location or the variable labeled as SI, and then you are going to print that memory location value from in that variable in the next line, which is containing 350. So it will go and look inside the variable marked as SI or labeled as SI or identified by SI, and then that value will be printed on the screen. Is this concept clear?
Yes, sir.
Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, don't be, just don't get overwhelmed by your friends' responses. I can explain it hundreds of times. I have lots of patience. Okay, shall I move ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all of you? Sure, fine.
Yes.
Okay, good. Now what I'll do is, I'll show you the code of this program. Okay, this we discussed, adding 50 to the already existing number or a number accepted from the user. Okay, now this is a program. Okay, let's come here. We'll go back. That was the second question that I gave last time. So you can take here float or double, whatever, for accepting decimal numbers. This is for declaring variables for principal, rate and time, and finding simple interest. Okay, why we need to put it as float or decimal, float value or double value? Because all of these, this PRT can be in decimal also. Okay, 7.5 years and etc. So we are choosing to declare them as float. We can also use double also, no problem. Now once you have declared the 4 variables, 3 of which will be used for accepting the user input and 1 of which will be used for calculating the simple interest. Okay. Okay. Now first you are displaying the message, please enter the principal. Why we are displaying this message? Because else if we do not display it, computer will be blank and blinking. The person running the program or executing the program may not understand what we have to provide. Okay, so before, like we have seen in earlier classes, before in asking for any value from the user or any input from the user, which this line will do, this statement will do, you have to leave a message by printing what you actually want the user to input. So user will see, okay, principal value is required. So user will enter one principal value. That principal that will be blinking on the screen. At that place, the moment you enter the value, that will be put inside the variable identified by P. Next time you are printing, please enter the rate. The moment the screen stops and starts blinking for you to enter the value, the moment you enter the value, that value will be put inside the variable label identified by R. Third time you are asking the third input, which will be the number of years. That years you will enter here when the screen again stops and halts and wait for your inputs because of this statement. The moment you give that years value, that will be put inside the variable identified by T. Next time, how will you calculate the simple interest? Using this expression. First, a single value for this entire expression will be, or the result of the expression will be evaluated, and then that result will be stored in SI. So in the background, corresponding to this, value will be fetched from the memory location P, whatever the user entered. Value will be fetched from the memory location R or the variable R. that user entered, and similarly value for t will be fetched from variable t, and then intermediate expression will be formed in the memory. That intermediate memory expression, the product of which all the three will be calculated. That entire single result of the product will be divided by 100 then, and then whatever single value will be obtained here, that will be put inside SI. Okay, once you have put the value, once you have stored the value in SI, then you are good to display the result, and you will be displaying the simple interest is equals to concatenated with SI, because SI is not enclosed within quotes. The value of SI will be replaced here. This single value will be concatenated with this message, which will make your program more presentable. So what I will do is, let us execute this program and observe. If there are further doubts, we'll again revisit the program. Okay, so let us observe the output. Okay. We are compiling, checking for errors. No error, good. That means .class file must have got created. We will run that .class file without writing any only with the name of the file, without writing any extension. That will automatically pick .class file. We'll execute it. It is asking me, please enter the principal. Where is it currently? It executed this line, and then it executed this line, and it is waiting for here the value to be entered from the user. So it is blinking here. Okay, after printing the message, it executed this sc.next float in line number 14. It is waiting for you. Line was not changed, therefore after printing exactly it is not println. So after printing this, it is immediately waiting for you because of the execution of this sc.next float of line number 14. Now what you will do is, let's say you will put 1000. Now because it is an integer value but you are providing in a float, so this will become 1000.0 automatically inside, right? So we press enter. Now it is asking you to print rate. Because of this, after printing this statement, line was not changed, and then this statement was executed. Okay, so it is again waiting for you to enter the second value as a result of the execution of line 16. Now you will again put, let's say rate I'll put as 5% per annum, and then we'll print enter. Again line number 17 was executed. This message was printed without changing line. After printing the message, next line 18 was executed, and as a part of which sc.next float got executed, and it is halting the screen for the user input. Now let's say the moment user provides at 7, okay, and I will press enter, this value will go inside t, and then this expression si will be evaluated, single value will be obtained, and then which will be put in the variable mark identified as si, and then in the next line si will be displayed, which will happen immediately as soon as I press the enter. Okay, so it 350 became 350.0 because si is of type float. Is this thing clear? Just have a look for another, let's say 20 seconds, and then let me know.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Okay, everyone?
So if you've given us this 20 seconds, I wanted to just ask, will you also be starting taking class on Microsoft Teams?
Teams, Snehal sir told you, or he started?
He started.
Okay, then maybe from next class we'll be having on Teams only. I was about to tell you that today. So maybe next class itself, I'll create one team for you. If it is not already existing, I'll create one team. Is everyone having here the Teams ID?
Yeah. So did it for us and gave it to us.
Achha, maybe if I'll check if any one of you is not having, I'll send the Teams ID I'll just check and we'll send the Teams ID. And then next class we'll have there only. I was about to inform you about, regarding that. No worries, we'll do it. Actually, Teams is good. There we have many
Yeah,
features.
we saw today. Yeah, it was actually pretty good.
And not only that, you can also use many feature products of Microsoft for free, like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, the latest versions which are on the cloud. So you can go and explore those things. No worries. Next class then we'll have here only. And if I'll see any one of you is not having the ID, I'll create and send.
So
Okay.
you did the recording today.
I started the recording. It's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, it's going on. Okay, fine. So the program is clear. This one. Shall I move
Yes,
ahead?
sir. Yeah.
All of you? Okay. If that is good, then we will see the next program, that next question that I gave you last day. What was that question? For price of one shirt, and then accepting from the user two things: number of shirts and the cost price of one shirt, and then the total price, right? So what we can do is, I'll just solve in rough first and then we can see. Fine. So how do you find the total price and cost of n shares? So that problem we'll analyze, we'll execute, and then we'll move on to the next. Let's say you have to find is total cost of n shirts, where n is a value entered by the user, at the cost of x, or at the cost of a rupees each. Let's say this is the question. Okay, so how we are going to do? How many values we need from the user? 2, n and a.
Yeah.
N is the number of shirt and a is the cost of each shirt, right? And
Yeah.
then 1 will be the total price. So we need 3 variables, 2 for the user input and 1 for calculating and storing the result. So first value is, now tell me, can this value be, should this value logically be a float or a decimal value or integer value? Number of shirts.
So it should be a int value.
Integer value. Why? Because you never buy 4.5 shirts or 4.2 shirts, right?
Yeah.
So decimal values is not logical here. So we will not, this n will be of type int and not float or double, because float or double will enable you to provide a value which will be in decimal, but that won't be logical. So we will, for n, we will write int. What about the cost? Can it be int, float, double, everything?
Yeah. You can have like in pairs, say 0.5.
Correct. It can have decimal values, right? So for that we will take float or double. Let's go with double. Double a, where a is the cost of one shirt. Now tell me, if one value is double, let's say 100.5, and one value is int, what do you think will be the result? Will it not be in decimal again? Okay, let's say because a can be double, so a will be a double value, n will be integer, their product of an integer number and a number with decimal point, will it not be again a number with decimal point? Right? Are you getting this thing?
Yes, sir.
Therefore, the total cost, let's say total cost I denote by TC. So that's why the total cost which will be calculating the product of n into a, that will be double type. So instead, writing it separately, you can write at one single place also. Now, what will be the total cost? Total cost will be equals to number of shirts multiplied by cost of each shirt. Won't it give you the total cost? Once you have the total cost, can you print it on the screen? Will this solve the problem? Let me know. Let me know. Take 20 seconds and then let me know.
So we can still improve this by getting the input from the user.
We can still improve this by getting it from the, of course we have to I forgot. Thank you. Actually I should have written A is equals to SC dot good. You should have this degree of focus. Double and N will be SC dot next int. Okay, you can take this and this before this, that won't matter. Okay, so in A you require one double value, in N you require one integer value. So of course we should have written this. Without that, that program won't work. Okay, now is this correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, shall we see the program version of this exact program? Okay, so now see, it's always make a good always make a habit, and that's really in fact a very good habit, or try to develop one wherein you are taking the variables, variable identifier names which is similar to the purpose of that variable. N will be storing the number of shirts, so I have taken N. I have taken I want to store in one variable the cost price of one shirt, so I have taken cost 1. Okay, this total price will be saving the total result multiplication of this, so I have taken it as total price. So always make a habit of storing relevant variable names. Okay, now so N will be integer type. I have taken, which will be I have declared a variable which will be storing the number of shirts in the form of integers. I have created another variable which user will be, wherein user will be providing the cost of one shirt which will be of, which may be having decimal points also. So therefore I have taken float, because one of the number is float in decimal values. If it is multiplied by integer, that result will also be a float value with the decimal point. Therefore the total price which will be storing the product of these two is also, I have also taken it as a float. You can also write comma here and then you can write total price in one single line. That will also be okay. So here I have declared 3 variables. Now I am asking for the values from the user in N, the variable that I have declared above. So I am initializing N by the value given by the user, sc.nextInt, because this is int. Next time I am asking from the user the cost of one shirt. This can be float value, so I am writing sc.nextFloat. Okay, after leaving a message, user will enter. Then I am finding the product of both, which will give us the total cost of n shirts at the cost of cost 1 rupees per shirt. So that will be n multiplied by cost 1. Okay, and that will, this result will be evaluated to obtain a single value, and that single total value will be stored in the variable of type float identified by the name total price. That will be stored there. Once that is stored, next line you can display the output as the cost total price of plus n. See how wonderfully I'll be using concatenation here to display a very meaningful result. The total cost of n will be replaced because n is not within quotes, so it will understand that n is a variable. It will fetch the value, will replace this here first. Again it will go and fetch the value because it is not enclosed within quotes, so it will understand it is a variable. So these two values will be first replaced, and then entire thing, this string number will be concatenated to give one single wonderful message. Let us see the execution, and then that will make it further clear. Okay. Compiled successfully, no errors, dot class created. Let's execute that file. just a minute. I executed which one? Okay, sorry, 12 I needed to execute, sorry. It's asking in the next line here, because here I have written before, after printing the message, println. So it is printing the line, going to the next line here, and then it comes across this thing. Okay, so there the screen stops, asks me for the value. Earlier in the previous program, line was not changed because I used print. In this program, before asking the value, the message that I am displaying, I am printing in println. Okay, so line is changed, and in the next line it is asking me the value. In this case, it was asking me in the same line because I did not change the line there. Okay, so let's say it's asking me to enter the number of shirts. Let's say I purchased 50 shirts. Now enter cost of one shirt. Let's say cost of one shirt is rupees 1500. Let us see, the total price is 7,000, or rather 75,000. Similarly, you can provide decimal values also. Just a minute. Okay, next time, once more we'll run. Let's say 30 shirts you purchased. Cost of one shirt was 775.50. You will see the answer coming like this. Okay, so now let's say take about 30 seconds, analyze this program, especially the last line. Okay, I'll keep it here. Especially the last line. Okay, how I have used concatenation and then obtained a very presentable form of result. Okay, take 30 seconds. I'll just have some water and come back. Okay, is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, each one of you, tell me first.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hold me right there when you have doubt. I'm telling this time and again. Fine. Now we'll see one interesting case. A very simple question. A very, very simple question. Okay. Let's say I have two variables containing integer numbers. The given question scenario that is given is there are two variables containing two integer values. For example, A is equals to 10, B is equals to 20. Let's say there are, I'm just writing not as per the program syntax, in rough I am writing. Just have an idea. Fine, let's say there is a variable identified by A and identified by B, two different variables containing two different values, 10 and 20. Okay, now my objective is, you might have done it also, my objective is to interchange the contents of each. Contents of each of the variables. Okay, that is what I want finally is somehow you do something so that A contains 20, B contains 10. Earlier A was containing 10, B was containing 20. Right? Seem very simple program? Right. Now I am writing a program. Tell me if that is okay.
So we can write like, we can use two expressions to interchange the value.
Expressions. Okay, tell me. I'll write it for you.
So like A is equal to A plus B.
Okay.
So the value of A will become 30. So then it will be A is equal to A minus,
A minus B.
yes, A minus A.
A minus A.
Yes, so then only it can be 10.
And A minus A will become 0.
Why, sir?
Why? Okay, I'll show you why.
Oh, yeah.
Because A you have modified as 30. So this will be 30 minus 30. I think you have done somewhere this earlier, right? Have you seen it somewhere or you are coming up with your own logic?
No, so that I had like a simpler sum in maths. Like we had some logic solving skills last year.
Correct. That logic we will use. You are right. But we will come to that logic later. Why are we thinking so complex? Won't this work? Int A comma B. A is equals to 10. B is equals to 20. Let's simply write A is equals to B and B is equals to A. And then we will print A and B. Won't this work? What's the problem with this?
So there's no problem.
There's no problem. That's why we were going so complex, right? Let us see the execution of this very simple one. Okay. Okay, fine. So what we are going to do is, okay, this is the case. Let's say I have taken two variables, okay, num1 and num2. Num1 is containing 2. You can ask from the user also, no problem. And num2 is containing 3. Okay, what our final aim is, it should be interchanged, right? So what I will do is, I'll first print after setting the values or after putting in the values in the variables identified by num1 and num2, I will print the values. Print one message like variables before interchanging. Num1 equals to num1, num2 is equals to num2. See, here it is within quotes. Here it is not within quotes. So value will be replaced, concatenated, and then result will be displayed. Then I have interchanged it. Num1 equals to num2 and num2 is equals to num1. And then I am printing them back. This will show that now num1 will containing the value of num2 and num2 will be containing the value of num1. Now let us execute the program. Code 16.
So can you just go back to the code 1 minute?
Sure.
So here, then after that comment like the values after interchanging. In line 21, you have given num1 is equal to plus num1. So it will be printing the same thing, right?
No, it is under quotes and this is without quotes. So this will be printed as message, okay, and this will be is without quotes, so it will understand it is a variable for which I have to substitute the value. See
yes,
here.
So like even in the previous one, you have given num1, it will come like num1 is equal to 2. In the next one also it will come num1 is equal to 2 only, right?
No, you have interchanged here, na? So that earlier result will be replaced. So num1 will be now containing the value of num2. Here we have here in line 16 and 17 have we not interchanged their values? So num1 will be now containing the value of num2, and num2 will be containing the value of num1. Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
Sure?
Yes, right. Just had a little confusion. Now I'm okay.
Okay, fine. So now let us execute this. Okay, let me clear it up. I have run the program. Num1, remember num1 is containing 2 and num2 is containing 3 in that code. Do you see anything strange happening here? Initially num1 was containing 2, then num2 was containing 3. We interchanged in the middle by writing these two lines, but to our surprise what we see is both of them now become the same value. That is, this is a mistake which beginners make quite often, very often. Okay, so if you would have drawn the boxes and then we would have analyzed in the form of memory blocks in RAM, you would not have you would have understood in the very first place that it would not have worked. Let us see how. What happens is, here two boxes are created because of this, A and B, labeled as A and B, and specifying that you are going to store integer values only in that. Okay, this will store integer, this will also store integer, right? Now what you are doing is, in the next line, as a result of this execution of this, A will be filled with 10. As a result of execution of this, B will be filled with 20. Okay. Now you are writing A is equals to B. So first right side, this expression will be evaluated. How? First value of B will be substituted here. So that will be 20 will be substituted here, and then that 20 will go inside A, right? So as a result of this line, A's previous value will be overwritten with what? Value of B, because this B will be substituted internally and this will become 20 and this 20 will get inside A. So earlier result will be overwritten. Now A will become 20. Correct? Next line.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Next line will come. We'll write B is equals to A. First, this expression will be evaluated. Okay. The value will be fetched from the memory location A, and that will be put inside B. Right. Now, because the latest value of B, A has become 20, so this 20 will again be replaced here, and then this 20 will go inside B. So B's earlier value will again be replaced with 20. Now you can see both A and B are having the same values. So this did not interchange, rather it made both the variables contain the same values. Because the moment you did this, A is equals to B, contents of both A and B became same. Next time when you are writing B is equals to A, the same thing is being replaced and then going back inside B again. So both will become the same thing. That is what is happening here. A equals to 2. This is putting 2 in A. B is equals to 3. This is putting 3 in B. When you write A is equals to B, this will enable this. B will be replaced by the content of B. It will be 3, and 3 will be placed inside A. Overwriting and erasing the previous value and then overwriting on it. So A will become 3. Next line you are writing B is equals to A again. Content of latest value of A, or the content remaining in A, is the new one, 3. Earlier one was lost. So this will be replaced with 3. 3 will again go inside B. Though B is containing 3, it will again be erased and 3 will be again written. Okay. So at the end you will see both are containing the same values. This did not solve our purpose. Think over it for 10 seconds or 15 seconds and then let me know whether did you understand why this approach of A equals to B and B equals to A was not successful in interchanging. Just give it a look for 15 seconds.
Yes, sir, I understood.
Clear? Clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So that means that approach won't work. But how to do it now? Okay, fine. I'll tell you a very small story type of puzzle. And then you tell
But
me.
I got that expression.
You got that expression, right? A equals to A plus B, A is equals to A minus B and B is equals to A minus B, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll come to that solution later, but without that also we'll be solving. Just listen to one of the very small 2-line puzzle. I'll give you a scenario and then tell me what you will do. Okay. Let's say you have two glasses. There is glass A and there is another glass, okay, let's say B. In one glass there is one soft drink of different color, let's say purple color. In another glass there is another soft drink of, let's say, orange color. Now what is your aim is this glass, the glass 1, okay, let me change the color of the glass, glass 1, and let's say this glass 2, that is glass B, they are having different colors and different color, you can say, and different juices or soft drinks are there. What will you do so that the content of A and B are interchanged? That is, in A you have the juice of B and in B you have the juice or the soft drink of A. How will you interchange them?
So, what's the difference between them except for color?
They are different juices, they are different soft drinks.
Okay, so the one
So
that's
we can
more
bring in
dense.
another vessel, like.
Another vessel or another glass will do our job, right?
Yes, sir.
So there is an easier method rather than using a third vessel.
Tell me.
It actually works. We take the more dense liquid and keep it
Okay, this gravity separation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we are not going into that. Let's not make that too complex. Okay, if you ask for that in your houses, then maybe you may receive some hard words. Why not get another glass and do it? Okay. Okay, fine. Because in juices it won't work. Okay, because there you will need a significant degree of variation in densities. Then only one will float over the other. However, if you mix them in ordinary circumstances, the soft drinks, okay, then they will get mixed up and I don't know, something else will come up. Fine. So what she said is correct. We'll get one empty glass, right?
Yes, sir. Okay.
We'll
we have to separate the contents of A and B.
No, we have to interchange.
We have pour B in C and then A and B and then C.
Correct. That is what.
It's so complicated.
So, it's so complicated. But how else will you do? Okay, tell me how much time will it take for you to do it in the house?
I hope it will take like 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
If we do it this way, it will take me 5 minutes.
Why it will take 5 minutes? I can do it within a minute. Let's say this is a glass. I'll pour it here. One.
If I do, I have to make sure I have to clean everything. All the mess
Okay, fine. Agreed. You are doing it like not even a single drop should get mixed. Okay, fine. So let's come back to the logic. First, you will put the content of A in glass C, right? and then
F.
this will become empty. Glass A will become empty because you have poured it in glass C. Now, second, you will pour the content of glass B in glass A, right? Then this glass B will become empty, and then you pour back. This is the second step, and then you pour back the content of glass C in glass B. This is the third step. So what you will see, the content of B is going into A, and then content of A after going into C coming back into B. You will see they both the contents have been interchanged. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. There was a lot of disturbance coming from
Disturbances.
the task.
Okay, no
So
worries.
in the program we bring in a third value.
So in the program,
So we bring in a third empty value.
third empty variable, correct. In the program, if you bring the third empty variable, that will solve your problem, isn't it? So what can be done? Did you understand the concept? What we can do is int A, B, and we'll also take another variable C, which will help us in interchanging. Let's say A contains 2, B contains 3, okay, and let's say C contains A. In the C, you fill the contents of A. Then in A, because now you can you have a copy of the value of A inside C, you can afford to replace the value of A. Okay.
So why would you want to do so much work? You can just go back to the program and change the numbers.
This is hard-coded value, right? What if you are taking the user input? You don't know what value user will put.
Then why would the user want B to be A and A to be B?
First, let us solve this. I'll show you. I'll show you without using the third value also, which he said just few moments back. Okay. Then in.
So it is me, sir. It is me, Bhuvan.
Okay. Oh, fine. No. I'm explaining him in flow, so at times I not able to focus on names.
No, so this was the third time. That's why.
Acha, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. So A. In A, what we'll do is we have the copy of C in A in C. What we can do is we can put the value of B inside A, right? Is it clear? Now A is having the content of B. Now B can again from in B you can take the content of C. Correct? Will this not solve your problem? Is it clear how we can do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. See, other thing is I'm hearing here and I'm not at the same time looking at the name, so I might get it wrong. So don't take it too personally. Okay, fine.
No, sir. I was just.
It's okay. It's good that you pointed. Fine. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. So we will see the same program for that. Just a minute. This one. Okay, so what we are doing is we are taking two values, num1 and num2. Okay, and two variables. We are providing this with two different values. The moment we are providing two different values, then we are just after that we are printing the current contents before interchanging. Okay, so num1 will be containing 10, num2 message will be replacing will be concatenated with the value of num2 variable, and then num2 is equals to 20 will be displayed on the screen. So you have displayed the current contents of num1 and num2 before interchanging. After interchanging, what you are doing, I have written this, this won't work, you have to think over it. Okay, so here I am taking the third variable which will help me interchange just like the third glass. Okay, so in the third variable we will copy the content of first one, in the first one, because I can afford now to get its value erased and be replaced by another value. So here what I'll do is, in X I'll get the content of first one, a copy of value of num1. In num1 I'll get the copy of num2, and in num2 I'll get the copy of num of X, which is containing the copy of initial value of num1. Okay, so this will help us effectively interchange the values. Now when you again print num1 and num2, here you will see 10 and 20 being printed, here you will see 20 and 10 being printed. Okay, let us run the program. Okay. We made some mistake. Let us see. Okay. Not 17. I executed the wrong program. That is, I think, 14. Correct. Okay, now, so you can see now, initially the content was 10 and 20. After interchanging, by employing the method of taking the help of third variable, you are able to successfully interchange. Right? Is this thing clear? Just have a look for, let's say, 20 seconds and then tell me.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. Now, can we do it without using the third variable? Of course we can. Okay. So who suggested this answer? Bhuvan, you, right? Third variable.
Yes, sir.
That without using the third variable. A plus
Yes,
B, A
sir.
minus B. Okay. So we'll see that. Okay. So what he is suggesting is, we'll end at this topic only. I thought of covering a bit more, but no worries. We'll start that new topic in the next class. So what he suggested is, if A is containing 2, B is containing 3, let's do something like A is equals to A plus B, B is equals to sorry, not B.
So I had a simpler one.
Okay, A minus B. Okay, we'll see that also, no worries. B is equals to A minus B. This will effectively result in interchanging of values of A and B. How? Let us analyze. This line will put 2 inside the variable identified by A. This will put 3 inside the variable identified by B. This will solve the expression on the right side, and then that single value will be put inside variable A, which will override the earlier value. So this will result in, first value of A will be substituted, value of B will be substituted. Okay, so this will become 2 plus 3. Result will be calculated as 5, and then that 5 will be put inside the variable A, erasing the previous value. So A will become 5. In this line, now you are writing.
Bhuvan, there's a lot of disturbance from your mic.
Okay, now again you are finding A minus B. So what is A minus B? You see, A is 5, so this will be 5. What is B? B is 3. B is 3. A is 5. Okay, so this will be 5 minus 3, which will give you 2. So this 2 will be evaluated here as a single value of this expression A minus B, because A you changed recently, just above it. So now latest value of A is 5. So 5 will be here. B is still containing 3. Okay, this value has been overwritten by 5 on the previous step. So this will be 5 minus 3, which will give you, 5 minus 3, of course, which will give you what?
2.
2. Okay.
So the one more step which I had was.
Wait. I'll make it b is equals to. Sorry?
Giving the same value back.
Okay. I'll come to that. I just made a simple change here. So a is equals to a plus b will give you 5. Then if you write then a minus b, that has to be contained in b, not a. Okay. So a minus b will result in 2, and that 2 we will put in b. So now b's value 3 will be overwritten with 2. Next line. Now what is a? A is containing 5. B has become 2 in the previous step. So a minus b will become, a is 5, 2. This will become 3, and that 3 will go inside a. Okay, so can you see the values of a and b being interchanged? A is becoming 3 and b is becoming 2. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll write it clearly here. A equals to 2. You can arrange it in the form of a program. B equals to 3. A is equals to a plus b. B is equals to a minus b. And a is equals to a minus b. Yes, you had something to say.
So nothing, sir. I just wanted to tell you that you should interchange.
It's interchange. Okay, correct. Yes.
So, but okay, a is equal to a plus b. Then won't it become like
okay.
2 is equal to 2 plus 3?
No. First right side is calculated and then that value is put inside left side.
So the variable only stores the result.
Variable only stores the result. Okay. So
Okay,
first, see,
then
always remember,
like
in case of equals to in variables, always remember, it's not like 2 is equals to 2. First, right side, RHS will be evaluated. Whatever value is coming, that value will be put inside the box named as that on the left side. It doesn't mean mathematics 2 is equals to 2.
So then once a changes and becomes 5. Then in B, when we are taking a minus b.
Okay, I'll solve again. Okay.
5.
Let's do it again. This time, right side is 2, only one single value. So that will be put in the variable labeled as a. So a will be filled with 2. This right side is 3, only one single value. That will be put in the variable or the block of memory labeled as b. B will be getting 3. Right side will be evaluated first to a single value. So this will be a, that is 2 will be replaced. Here 3 will be replaced. This will become 2 plus 3. This will finally become 5. Okay, and this 5 will be again replaced in memory location with the name on the left side of the equal to. So this will go there. Next line, right side will be evaluated first. Expression. So what is expression? A is now 5. So this will be 5 minus, what is the latest value of b? It will go and look in the location b is having 3. So minus 3 will be there. This will become 2. And then this 2 will be put in whatever is the name of the variable on the left side. So it will go and look for the memory location labeled as b, and inside that it will put 2, erasing the whatever the previous value was there. Next line.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Okay, this is a. What is the, it will go in the memory location labeled as a, and it will look for a value. It is containing 5. It will write 5. Now it will look for the memory location containing labeled as b. B it has got 2. So it will become 5 minus 2, which is 3. This 3 will be put in the memory location whichever is written on the left side of the equal to sign, having the same name. So it will look in the RAM for the memory location labeled as a, and in that a it will put that single value 3. Now if you print the contents of a and b, won't it be interchanged from the previous state?
Yeah.
Is it correct?
Yeah, so can you just execute it once
Sure.
as a program?
I just did it. Here. See, again I'll do.
Okay, sorry, I guess I'd gone to get water that time.
Okay. Fine. This is your program. 2010. Then you are interchanging or not here. Okay. I have not written that program here, I guess. Fine. You can write it on your own. That will work. No worries. I had this program in assignment. I discussed before. I'll be sending assignment most probably today. Okay, so you can try writing that. You will absolutely get the answer. There's no problem.
Okay, sir, yeah.
Okay, fine. If it is clear to all, I'll wrap it up for the day. I have one meeting to attend from 7. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so we'll just keep on revising. Maybe this weekend we may have one test. I'll send you the assignment maybe by today or in the morning. Remind me if I forget. Okay, next class will be on Teams. I'll see if anyone of you is not having the ID. I'll send the ID.
So what is the assignment?
I'll send. You will come to know. That's very easy. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Should we solve it and send it today itself?
No, not today itself. You take your time. 3-4 days. Okay. Okay then.
Yes, sir.
Have a wonderful evening. We'll meet tomorrow. I think tomorrow or Friday. Friday, I guess. We'll meet on Friday, 5:30.
Okay, sir.
Okay
yeah.
then. Bye. Thank you for your patience.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.